We are now joined live via Zoom from New York by Gidi Greenstein, former peace negotiator under Prime Minister Ehud Barak and the founder of the Reut Group. Good afternoon to you. Thank you for being here on what appears to be an update on a potential agreement. But we know this isn't the first rodeo, and we haven't seen any definitive deals go through. So in your opinion, is this something that we can potentially have more confident and hope about?
Well, it obviously looks more serious than any time before in the past few weeks. We are seeing a very dynamic American player that is coordinated with Qatar. And apparently Israel doesn't have a delegation in Qatar, and Israel is actually not in the middle of the design of this deal. Obviously, both sides are spinning the content of the deal to present it as their own success. But if we focus on the Israeli side, of course, the most important thing is that we will get a number of the hostages alive and also dead back to Israel. This is the most important thing in my view right now, because the government has not presented any path for victory in this war. It hasn't even defined what victory is. What I mean by that is, yes, they want to push Hamas out of Gaza. And then what? Does Israel stay in control of Gaza indefinitely? And if Israel does that, what will be of the Palestinian insurgency, 1 million to 2 million people there that will stay in Gaza and will still resist Israel? So there's no path to the end of war. We haven't been presented that. The government of Israel is actually negotiating with Hamas. The government of Israel allows Hamas to redeploy across Gaza, gives Hamas the release of prisoners that are non-Hamas prisoners. All of this, what is so interesting, is already happened in January 18. And it's happening again. So I really hope there will be a deal. I hope we'll see some of the hostages coming back as soon as possible. And then I hope that the American leadership will bring an end to the war in a way that actually serves Israel's interests.
Also, getting a little bit into the politics here, Yair Lapid, opposition leader, said he would actually lend the prime minister support, which we don't hear very often, to reach a deal. Is there any chance that the prime minister would accept that offer?
Well, I think that the prime minister it seems like he's been captive by the far-right groups in his government that prevent him from actually reaching a war-ending deal. Again, a deal that serves Israel's interests, and we can go into the details of that. And that's why the safety net that responsible opposition can give the prime minister is crucially important in this moment. I will say that at the end of when we look down the path, it's clear that Israel will need to stay in some parts of Gaza for an interim period, a transition period, when we will control the security. This is not a temporary arrangement. This is an interim and some sort of intermediate term arrangement. But the heart of Gaza, which we may refer to as the Area A of Gaza, to use terms that we're also using in the West Bank, that will need to be controlled by a Palestinian self-governing body, as well as that will be the space where the international force should deploy. That Palestinian interlocutor that will replace Hamas, the government of Israel right now refuses to negotiate with it. And that's why there's actually no power, Palestinian power, that will push Hamas out of Gaza. We also need to remember that the Israeli government, is now focusing on pushing out the military wing of Hamas. But Hamas also has a social infrastructure. Hamas has an economic infrastructure, etc. And all of these things, the moment the military operations cease, all of these things kick back into action unless an alternative Palestinian governing body is introduced into Gaza. And right now we are seeing none of that. And that's why I think that all of these things require sound strategic approach to Gaza. It cannot happen with the far-right parties in the government, which is, again, a reason why a responsible opposition could support and should support the prime minister in creating, a war-ending package for Gaza.
And, what about the United States situation? We know that they have also got involved in negotiations, not including Israel specifically. So what kind of pressure could the president of the United States, and of course Witkoff, talking about this, is that enough to convince the prime minister to go along with a deal, even if it's not 100% in what he claims is the interest of Israel?
Well, I think all of the audience could play the mental game of what would have happened if the Biden administration would have done these things. What I mean by these things is direct negotiations with Hamas, talking to Qatar about ending the war without Israel, alleviating sanctions on Syria, talking to Iran. All of these things that the Trump administration is demonstrating that it is loyal to its America first concept, meaning they are serving American national security interests as they understand them. And the government of Israel, the current government of Israel, is locking the Americans into effectively a split in their foreign policy. On the one hand, a very reluctant Israeli leadership that says no to almost any idea that has come forward, not just regarding to Gaza, also in Syria and in Lebanon, etc. This is on one side. And on the other side, a group of progressive, forward-looking Arab parties in Saudi Arabia, in the UAE, even to a degree, a constructive partner right now that we're seeing in Qatar. And just note, after all the criticism of Qatar and that we heard by the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister is accepting a Qatar broker deal to end Gaza. These are astonishing things. But the bottom line is, in terms of American national security approach in the region, they have to choose between pragmatic Arab parties on partners on one side, the current Israeli government on the other side. And I think in the last few weeks, it's been blatantly clear which direction they are leaning. And therefore, I think that the government of Israel is running itself out of options.
All right, very well explained. Thank you very much, Gidi Greenstein. Much appreciated, as always.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now,